Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man. Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man. Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man. Yes, a Family Guy reference. I'll include a link to the clip if you're curious, if you haven't seen it. And it of course is a reference to the real objects you see in front of used car dealerships, cell phone stores, and the like. These tube men or air dancers, whatever they're called. First of all, I appreciate the text art in the mod description. You already, of course, know the name of this mod, and there's very little to go off of. The documentation simply says, kill slimes, get tube men. That's pretty much all there is to it. Thankfully, I've got the cheat sheet mod, and so I don't have to be patient. I can just walk a little ways out of my base. Not that I probably even need to do that. And right away, by spawning blue slimes, I've already acquired one of these highly coveted tube men, and I'll show you how these things are installed. It's super easy, but given the fact that the mod doesn't really show right off the bat what you need to kill, the drop rates, etc., I'm just going to spawn an enormous number of all the slimes that come in here. I'm going to type in slime on the search bar and just start spawning these things in, and already I've started to acquire these things, so far so good. And with the Stardust Dragon, there's very little for me to do other than really to sell all of the garbage that these things drop, because you're going to be spawning so many that banners are going to be dropping, stacks of slime are going to be dropping, you name it, it's all going to start dropping. And so yeah, I'm doing pretty well so far. The rainbow slimes just dropped one, the blue slimes of course did, and so I've got a few to choose from already, but I want to just basically run through all the slimes here. I won't record all of this because it's pretty repetitive and pretty easy, but I'm just gonna basically tear through using my trusty Stardust Dragon all of these pesky slimes that I'm spawning and see if the slime variety in question drops one of these things. It doesn't take long to figure it out one way or the other, but as I said, these things drop a lot of garbage and I'm just going to vendor them. So if you use this tactic that I'm doing, I recommend either doing it at your base or near an NPC where you can sell all of this, because it's a lot quicker than dragging it over to the dustbin, the trash bin, and getting rid of it that way. So anyway, I've started to acquire these tube men, and again, I'll start installing these things before long. I just want to run through some of these slimes first. It really doesn't take long to acquire the inflatable tube men. It's a pretty easy mod, there's nothing involved. In fact, what made me the most nervous was I'm killing so many slimes here, they drop so many coins, it actually starts to lag out the software. I was afraid I was going to crash the software. But thankfully, no, the software runs fine. It just lags a little bit as I pick up all of the coins. And really, there's very little danger to me. I'm obviously an endgame geared character here, so these slimes really aren't much of a threat at all. It's just a question of letting your summon tear through them. So, you know, I'm casting these cheat sheet spells to summon slimes. I've got to at least try the king slime, right? So it didn't drop anything, so maybe it doesn't drop one of these inflatable tube men, but I had to find out. I had to know. Anyway, just carrying on. I'm nearly done with all of this, I promise. I just don't want to leave any stones unturned. It did say kill slimes, get tube men, so I really want to take them up on that and see if I can get a variety of colors. So now that I've acquired as many as I want, I'm going to just start installing these, and I cannot be the only person to think of this. In fact, I'm guessing everyone who plays this mod, the lunar cultists come to mind very quickly. It's a natural place to put these things. And frankly, these tube men are so hideous and tacky that they really don't belong in your base, except for maybe exceptional circumstances. So why not just troll these lunar cultists by putting these hideous inflatable arm flailing tube men at the dungeon entrance? I think it adds a bit of levity to this rather dark and somber ritual, this summoning ritual they have here at the entrance. I think it really needs a bit of life injected into it, and unfortunately, as you can probably tell, my dungeon entrance is right adjacent to my crimson biome, and so these things keep coming in and interfering with my decor plans. It's really quite a nuisance, but thankfully they're easily dispatched and they don't really spoil the fun. I really want to shine some light on this just to add a bit of brightness to the dungeon entrance, because the tube men, as colorful and vibrant and full of life as they are, they just don't generate much in the way of photons. So I need these torches just to maybe backlight the scene a little bit, and that's good enough, I guess. The torches aren't very neatly arranged. We still have zombies and whatnot coming in to interfere with my plans, but yeah, that's pretty good. I think I've decorated the lunar cultist little hangout spot pretty well. It is in keeping with the vibe of their summoning ritual, I suspect. Anyway, talking about the tube men themselves, really easy to get, really easy to put down. When you put them down, they're not inflated. All you have to do is click on them, and they stand up and start flailing around like they have air flowing through them. And you also may have observed that if you have more than one of the same type, if you activate them, every single one of the same type is also activated. So it's not maybe the most sophisticated mod. Not that it really calls for anything too sophisticated. It's here as a kind of comic relief mod, isn't it? Anyway, they didn't seem to appreciate it, so I figured since I appreciate these things and they don't deserve them. I worked really hard for these tube men, so they're going to go on top of my little country cottage here. I don't think the wizard and the guide are going to mind too much. In fact, it's such a dark and scary place in this world of Terraria. They've got a giant Moonlord heart in the middle of the living room there that I think they'll take what they can get in terms of maybe a more festive atmosphere. So there they are on top of my base. Doesn't really fit in, but it's there for demonstrative purposes. I think you'll agree it's a pretty good addition to the base, and frankly, the fireworks add a lot to this. They're kind of kindred spirits, as it were, in terms of decorations for your base. So some sparklers, some fireworks, and it rounds out pretty nicely, I think. What do you think? Post a comment in the comment section below if you've used these things. They're absolutely ridiculous. And, you know, I think of a channel like Chaos, who's an expert at building design. Maybe he's used these before, maybe not. He would know what to do with them, I'm sure. I really don't. I'm really kind of scratching my head, so I'm just putting down some fireworks and hoping for the best. It's a very silly mod, so anyway, it's pretty much what you would expect. Flailing tube men. There's some sparklers going off. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So I hope you appreciate this mod. I quite enjoyed it. It's just so silly. But wait, there's more. I found after that 2 more types, both Halloween themed. These jack-o'-lantern tube men, which are rather quite short, and these ghost tube men. And so there you have it. I think that's it. I checked through all the cheat menu to summon what I could, and I think that's all of them. Don't hold me to that, but I'm pretty sure. Anyway, that could be good for a Pumpkin Moon event, but that really is a choice you'll have to make. And you're just going to have to run wild with this rather. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.